Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the July 9th regular session of the McDowell County Board of Commissioners. Chairman Walker is not here. He is at a youth camp with his church. We wish him well. Hope everything goes good with that youth camp. Tonight we'll begin with a prayer and a pledge. I'd like to ask County Manager Wooten if he would have a prayer, and our clerk to the board, Cheryl Mitchell, to start to say esteemed, to lead us in our pledge. If everyone would please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we just thank you for the opportunity to gather and do your work here in this meeting. I pray we'll be with the board tonight as they make decisions that affect the people of this county and do what will be best for their benefit. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Okay, first item is approval of minutes. You see we have June the 11th regular session, June the 18th public hearing, June the 28th adjourned session, and also June the 29th adjourned session. You've had time to look over those.
Move we approve as presented.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the agenda before you. Any additions or corrections or deletions?
Yes, sir.
Move we approve the agenda.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, first appointments at 5:05, recognition of the North Carolina Association, is that right? County, I started to say the North Carolina Atlantic Coast Conference when I thought ACC. I'm like, yes. So as long as it's NC State, and I think it does represent well, Mr. Chad. But the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Youth Delegate. Mr. Wooten, you want to lead out on this?
Sure. Maybe Chad and his guests can come forward. But every year, the Association of County Commissioners has an annual conference all throughout North Carolina. This year, it's in Catawba County. Thankfully, it's a little bit closer for those that usually attend. Maybe about 5 years ago, they started, maybe longer, but they started essentially a youth component towards the weekend where young people from all 100 counties are invited to participate. And for the first couple of years, we unfortunately didn't have any attendance, but I think maybe the last 3 at least, we've had participation, 3 or 4. So it's great to have that representation there. And I do remember 4 now. This will be the 4th. And so they get to learn about county government, what's going on in the association, and get to meet some of the county commissioners there and staff at the event. So it's a great opportunity for us and definitely the young people.
And I'd like to introduce our delegate that was selected from all of McDowell County Poetry this year. This is Allison Biddix. And Allison, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Allison Biddix, and I'm an active member of the McDowell County 4-H as well as the FFA. I participate in the 4-H Ride-It Club and qualified for state competition this year. I also participate in the 4-H Shooting Club and the Livestock Judging Team. I will be competing at the state judging competition the end of this month and at the regional shooting competition in August.
And Allison's one of our well-rounded. She's involved a little bit. She's Commissioner FFA, incoming vice president at FFA. They really turned the chapter around, which is a new chapter. And adding a little bit of what you said, from a 4-H youth side of it, with the partnership with the County Commissioner Association, it's a chance to get our young people having conversations with their commissioners, with their elected officials. In McDowell County, we don't have that problem. You all are involved in what we do. We come to your meetings throughout the year, and it is very nice that you know what our kids are doing. But a lot of counties, that's not the case. The only time their commissioners see young people from 4-H is at this. So it's a chance for them to bring concerns, comments, suggestions from our youth population in a organized setting with you guys. Usually there's a delegate breakfast where the delegates and the commissioners eat together, share a meal, and that's usually the best time to talk. So we really do appreciate this partnership. And through this, Allison's going to learn about what you guys do, have more of a respect of what you're doing in our community, in our county. So it's a great partnership, and part of her assignment is to come to a commissioners meeting, speak in front of, and have a picture made with you guys. Y'all have any questions or anything for Ms. Allison?
I just want to tell her that until I became a county commissioner, I didn't realize what all the 4-H does. But I am proud of you guys. Especially, I was amazed at what you have to do with the animal judging, and how that you have to articulate why that you judge an animal the way you do. I just think it's a good thing for young people to learn that, and how to be able to tell somebody why you did something. It's amazing what some of you guys can do.
And like Allison said, they're gearing up for their state competition. This week they're going to Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Next week they've got trips lined up, so they go to different farms, different parts of the community, and get experience in this. And then this will help them further down the road for agriculture here in McDowell County, how to evaluate animals, what to buy, what to purchase, what to sell, how to sell it. And then also on a professional, personal level, they learn how to come up with their own thoughts and back up what they say.
You know, we don't just go to the store and buy milk.
Exactly.
It comes from somewhere.
It does. It does.
Well, Allison, I'd just like to say that I'm excited about what you've accomplished. I'm really proud of you. I was an old FFA member myself back years ago under Don Anderson. And it's a wonderful organization. The 4-H is. Chad, hats off to you for the great job you do. We appreciate all the hard work that you do, and we're seeing products of your hard work in these young people, and we appreciate them and what they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Brenda?
Proud of you.
Thank you.
You're breaking into a field that in my day we didn't get to go, so keep up the good work. I was a 4-H leader one time. Enjoyed it. Had 70-some kids. We had a really good time with them.
It's always good to see a smile on the face. And, every time you see Allison, she's always got a smile. I mean, as soon as she came into the government room, she had a smile. She had a smile at school. It's always good to see that, and the excitement 4-H brings. And just like I said, just the job that you do, Chad, we appreciate what you're doing with our youth.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And to kind of update you how our summer's going, we sent kids, livestock judging kids, to Oklahoma State for a week. This past week we had the state 4-H horse show in Raleigh, which we had 12 or 13 kids at. We've got programs going on, staying busy. So we'll come back at the end of the summer and recap it all for you. Be glad to, but we appreciate you giving us time to come in.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Anything in the picture? Take this brief recess. Back in session from a brief recess. About 5 minutes ahead. Let's slide down because we got a public hearing, 5:15. Let's slide down to old business, item A, administrative items.
Yes, sir. These are two fee items. So back on June 29th, which is the last day of the last fiscal year, we had several items that were addressed at that point, and one of those were fees for this fiscal year. Two that were presented, we'll touch on. Actually, sometimes you hate to do this, but we want to do it right, of course. One that was presented was a somewhat major revision of the building inspection fees, and so we had feedback fairly immediately, thankfully, from the Chief Building Inspector, Mr. Suttles, that there were good intentions and the revisions made, but there was sort of an oversight on our part, staff's part, on when those changes were made inadvertently affected the fees collected. So I won't get a lot of detail, but his email is attached. So the gist of what has happened is, for the example he gives of a 2,600 square foot house, before any changes, that fee would be $555. After the fee changes, the permit fee would be $500. So it's actually, in effect, a fee reduction, because what was happening before, we were charging a set fee based on square footage plus each trade. What was presented to you was a flat fee that included all the trades. And again, at the 40 cents per square foot cost, it would have been okay. But once that was adjusted to try to be more fair based on square footage, affordability, that sort of thing, it didn't factor in that additional fees that we were receiving. So he is, I guess, put back a counter proposal. What he's asked, if you would do a 30 cents per square foot for all square footage, no separation as far as 2,000 square feet, 3,000, what have you. Lower that cost, and also lower the addition and renovation cost to 20 cents a square foot. Again, that would still be a small increase on what we are charging now, but it would be lower than what was originally proposed. So that was a lot of words, but the gist is that he's asking to go back to the cents per square foot formula to get more in line with what most counties are doing, still offer a lower charge than most counties, especially those around us, just to keep it consistent. So essentially, strike what was done on the 29th, adopt what he is, again, this is the recommendation, adopt what he's proposing. If that makes sense.
That's your recommendation.
It is mine as well. I'm echoing what Mr. Suttles is saying. This seems to make sense.
Okay, board, you've heard explanation by county manager. Any questions?
Would that take a motion to rescind what we did and then approve this, or?
You can make it all in one motion, I think, to make that effective August 1st, which would just supersede the motion that was made on June 29th. Or you could make it into that motion to rescind.
I'd move that we rescind our previous action and approve the fee adjustments as presented tonight.
Okay. Have a second. Have a motion, we have a second.
I say.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? Appreciate you catching that early on, and we can take care of that faster. Any further comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
The other fee item, and this was just a typo on my part when we were doing the memo for the meeting, for cell towers, Mr. Harmon had requested an increase from current charge of $2,500 to $3,000, and I just typed in the wrong number, so we're asking for that to go into effect. So again, maybe the same type motion, well, this will go into effect August 1st.
Okay. Heard the presentation. Any further questions?
Move we make that correction.
Have a motion?
Second it.
Second. Any further communication or comments? None? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else on those items?
No, sir.
All right, we have a 5:15 public hearing, and I will declare us into a public hearing setting at this time. Reference to General Statutes 153A-323, Watershed Ordinance public hearing. Mr. Wood.
Mr. Harmon, come forward. You won't take all his words, but you had approved somewhat major revision to the Watershed Ordinance maybe about 3 months ago, and that was based on information provided to us from the state. However, the state can change their mind sometimes, and so when we sent what was approved to the state, they said, well, actually, we'd like for you to make these changes and take it back to the board. So that's essentially what's happened. There's no additional regulation, fewer regulation. It's essentially wording changes that are being suggested.
And some updates to the map that they requested as well. It's all clarification. It's nothing that changes the intent or any of the regulations that were originally approved. It's just clarification.
Okay, I guess we'll start on the right-hand side. Anybody wish to speak? Reference to, okay. Anybody on the right-hand side? Okay. Any motion to go out of public hearing?
Move to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now the action from
To approve the revised ordinance.
I make a motion we approve the revised ordinance that was brought forth to us.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. We're still a little bit ahead. Let's go to item B under old business. Have to be able to let me go through. Okay.
So again, going back to June 29th, sorry, one of the items that was discussed was the Drexel property. And so a quick background on that, since we do have more, definitely more public here, no offense to Mr. Conley, from the 29th, but just in the viewing audience, I guess. So the city and county have been in discussions for about 3 years on, I hate to put it this way, but what to do with the Drexel property. Again, this is property that contributed much to the local economy for many years. Once Drexel itself shut down, there were various businesses there for a number of years, and then it was essentially vacant maybe for 5 or 6. The current owner came into town, essentially bought the building and performed some demolition on the property, which is very obvious at this point, and indicated that he was moving on, I guess. And so being in the city's jurisdiction, they looked at methods to remedy the problem through civil fines, criminal fines, etc. And there not being any that by current law or any future law, they were sort of stuck, we were sort of stuck. So the city and the county a number of years ago did apply for state funding from the NC Department of Commerce to clean up the site. That was contingent on the city and county owning the property. City and county entered an interlocal agreement probably about 2 years ago at this point. That agreement stated that the city and county would apply for that grant, would share in the matching funds, which was about $125,000 each. The city and county would perform environmental studies and also enter into a brownfield agreement with EPA at the appropriate time. So the city has been doing most of the lead work on the environmental cleanup. There's been a phase 1, a phase 2. There's been some groundwater assessments of the site. Most of the information was pretty much known. We figured there would be some lead paint on the structures that are demolished. We figured there would be some asbestos on the site, and there is some, but it's actually more limited than expected. Groundwater testing was somewhat positive. And so we kept moving through all the different tests. The city did do recently some preliminary cost estimates on the demolition and removal of the debris. And the costs were higher than available funding between the city and the county and the state funds. The city did initiate some discussions with the state, and so there will be additional funding of $300,000 in state dollars towards this project. So with that in mind, you're looking at a little over $1 million of state, county, and city funding to clean up the site. The city has sent the attached donation agreement to the property owner. The property owner has reviewed it and sent a signed copy to the county and city for approval. My understanding is the city has approved the agreement. You looked at this on the 29th and wanted the county attorney to have an opportunity to review it and raise any objections. I have not heard any objections from our attorney. And we would ask for your approval tonight in order to move this project forward so we could move towards cleanup.
And this is time sensitive too, correct?
It is. The sooner we can move, the better, obviously.
Okay, you've heard the presentation. Anybody?
Well,
questions, comments?
I think that based on the information we've got on it and the limited amount of money that we're going to have to put into it, I think the return's far greater than, could be far greater than what our investment is. This piece of property has a potential for new revenue in our county and in the form of either new or expanded business that could already be here. So, I think it'd be a good move for the county to move on with this. And that's my feeling on it.
You gonna make that move?
And in saying that, I'll make a motion that we move forward with it.
Second.
Motion second. Any further comment or discussions? It's been a long time coming. It's been just been sore eyed in that community for a while. The only thing I hate is that, we have to clean up his mess. But I guess that's what we're having to.
I think the return could.
I think so.
The
Already concrete pads poured and everything once the cleanup's completed. Okay, we have a motion second. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Still a little bit ahead. New business. Item A, board appointments. See, the Adult Care Home Nursing Advisory Board has not had a full board in several years. It's ongoing advertisement for applications. Received an application this week from Molly Eller. And this, any action required?
Do you want to
More
treat
than
it as
first
a
reading?
first reading, or it's ongoing? They never have enough board members to make those visits into the rest homes. They're always looking.
This has
for
been
members.
advertised numerous times.
Numerous times.
I'm prepared to go ahead and move this tonight.
Okay. It's an important role. Yes. Okay. All in favor of moving forward, and Miss Molly Eller, adding her to the, you see her application to the Adult Care Nursing Home Advisory Board. You have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
You have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. McPeters, if I could mention as well, maybe just for information at this point, we did receive an email today for you to consider maybe for next month. The McDowell Mission has asked to have a county commissioner representative attend their board meetings and maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe become a member of that board, city and county. And so Ms. Rock asked us to, the city manager and I, to mention that to our respective board and council. So maybe something to think about moving forward for the August meeting to be on the agenda.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, we continue to move forward. Let's look at item B under new business. Tax matters. Mr. Wooten?
These are very routine, a few discoveries, a partial refund, and some vehicle bill adjustments. You'll start to see, we're kind of at a lull right now. Once the bills go out, actually today that were mailed, you'll see some errors pop up, et cetera, so they'll pick up again. This should be routine.
I'd move we approve the tax matters.
A motion second.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, it brings us up close to the 5:30 appointment, and I think Mr. Kenney's here. So, Mr. Wooten, if you want to lead out on the Fonta Flora Trail.
Sure.
Endorsement.
Mr. Kenney had emailed, I think last week, and asked to come present a trail grant they were working on west of Old Fort. And I won't steal a lot of his thunder, but it sounded like something that the board would be supportive of. I did ask the question, are there any county dollars in the grant? He said no. I said, well, that sounds great.
Sounds great.
But he's looking for board support, and I know the board has supported the establishment of the Fauna Flora Trail in the past, so it's going to be okay.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to briefly present, and I do plan to be very brief in my remarks. I just brought a handout with some maps that might be the most interesting thing to look at quickly. I'm with Foothills Conservancy. As you know, we're a land trust based in Morganton that does a lot of conservation work with on a voluntary basis in McDowell County. And we're very excited to partner with Camp Greer and state parks and willing landowners to help get some Fauna Flora Trail, a designated state trail on the ground between the town of Old Fort and the beginning of the Point Lookout Trail. There's really only a distance, I believe, of 3 or 4 miles between those two lake locations, and with all the tourism development and promotion of the wonderful natural assets in the Old Fort area, of course, a very important part of McDowell County, we are excited that this trail project, if it's successful, can provide a much more convenient trailhead and a small parking area for the public to enjoy outdoor activities like hiking and mountain biking. Of course, a lot of that already occurs in the area, but this really offers convenience that some of the other sites don't do a good a job of offering. If you look at the map, one page, of course, shows what the state designated as the Fauna Flora State Trail. I believe that was in year 2015. I may be wrong, but it's one of the state park system's designated trails with the goal one day possibly of connecting Morganton to Asheville. But I really want to draw your attention to the project area and vicinity that we're very excited to be working on, and that's between, again, the town of Old Fort and the Point Lookout Trail. And there is about 120 acres of property that's been acquired by the state or that's pending to be owned by the state. Also, Camp Greer is very enthusiastic to participate to grant easements for public trail across a small portion of their property. But you see on the map the willing landowners and the properties involved in our grant application to the state of North Carolina for state and federal funds. So what our goal is, we would like to secure a grant of $100,000 from the state of North Carolina Trail Program, and we don't even need any help on matching resources. We're not asking any money from the county, There will be no responsibilities to the county, but we would really value your consideration and endorsement of this trail grant application and effort to hopefully construct up to 2.5 miles of trail on these properties with willing landowners and a trailhead and a small parking area. And with that, I'll be quiet, but I'm glad to answer any questions that there might be about this grant application and project.
Sounds good.
Commissioner Brown, any questions?
No, I think it's a great thing that they're doing here. I would like to see this connection made, and it's certainly, I think that I speak on behalf of the whole board. We certainly do support trails and facilities such as that in the county, in order to, we're all health conscious. We may not look like it, but I know I am, and Lynn and Brenda, Barry, I don't know for sure, but we're pretty much health conscious, I think. So, yeah, I think it's a great thing, and you, on my part, you have, and I think I speak for the whole board, you have our support, and it's rare that we don't have to try to figure out a way to come up with money, and we just really love the idea of what you brought to us today, but you certainly have our support.
Thank you very much.
Is this trail also going to join with Buncombe County?
Yes, and of course, there are some meetings that are occurring that are looking at all the local governments, including Buncombe County,
Okay.
I believe the town of Black Mountain, and even the city of Asheville, to kind of look at their respective sections. But personally, we're really excited. We think Old Fort McDowell County's got a great opportunity, kind of a low-hanging fruit opportunity.
Yeah.
This will run pretty much with the old Highway 70 up the Old Fort Mountain.
More or less. It may leave some of the highway bordering areas, only, of course, with the willingness and cooperation of private property owners. But yes, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
You think this will tie into the off-road assault on Mount Mitchell any at all? Because, they usually run the off-road instead of the
Right.
actual road, but that
Right.
ties. And it's just another piece of the puzzle we've been looking at, tying Burke, McDowell, and Buncombe. And this is just going to be another piece of that puzzle. Gentlemen, you see the staff request the endorsement of the trail grant. Anything, Ashley, that you need to add to that?
If you'll endorse it, we can do a letter of support to send with the application.
I think we do a letter of support then.
Do a letter of support with the application.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenney. Thank you. Thank you. Always good to see you here. Okay, we're down to citizen comment and reports and communications. Do we have any citizen that would like to sign up for citizen comment? If you do, just please come forward and sign your name. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? Citizen comment. Okay. All right, last item on our agenda tonight is reports and communication.
Don't have any.
Okay. Anybody, any commissioner have any report? Ms. Mitchell, you have anything to report to us? Always keeps us informed. Okay.
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, have a second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all.